Hi, this is the Chapter 3A how to do the homework piece instructional video. So here on 3A we have these problem solving cases, and I grabbed an online version of this particular chapter, so it has a watermark on it, so ignore that. So what we're doing is, I guess one of the things to mention, it always says create a script name like Chapter 3 Case 1 .SQL file. Go ahead and put all of your stuff, all of your homework in one large file. That's the easiest thing to do, so ignore that. Now what we're doing here is, the first one says add each customer shown in figure 124 to the customer table. Okay, let's look at figure 124, and what I've done is again copied that out of that the electronic text, or the e-text, and this is that figure 124. So this is the information they're talking about. CID, C last, C first, C middle initial. Okay, so that's the specific information they're talking about. Now, so we want to go ahead and what you want to do is go ahead and load the that chapter, empty Clearwater SQL file into Oracle, and we'll step through that in brief in just a minute. But you'll want to load that and then create the insert statements, which will insert this data into the table. Now, keep in mind, customer, there's two sets of tables here, customer and customer continued. So all of this data has to be entered into that same insert command. The second, or B, create a sequence named orders, orders underscore ID underscore SEQ, to generate the OID values for orders. Now when we look at orders, this is that orders table. So you're going to create the sequence for OID, and you're going to create sequence, use the command create sequence orders underscore O underscore ID underscore SEQ, would be following the naming convention, and that with a semicolon, and then insert this data. And again, you have a date format, so you might use toDate, or you might use the default date format. You have a string, you have numbers here. Okay, so again, you're going to use that sequence to create that. C, add each order shown to the orders table. That's what you're going to do. Add each order source. So go back to order source. Now remember, you have customer, orders, and order source. Order source is a primary key for orders OSID. Let me restate that. Order source has OSID, which is a primary key for orders OSID. So you have to enter order source and customer first, and then you can enter orders, because the primary key has to be there first, then the corresponding foreign key has to be put in. Okay, make certain the rows you've added are permanently updated to the database table. Commit that data. On the next page, on step number 2, execute, or problem 2, execute the appropriate commands. Again, it says put it in a separate file. Don't do that. Same file. Remove the customer with CID 5, CID of 5. Update the order with the OID of 6. Add a new catalog to the order source, and then discard the changes you made in the previous 3 steps. Okay, so do this, do this, do this. Show that you've made those changes. All this information, all these steps, the syntax is within that Chapter 2 PowerPoint, or I'm sorry, Chapter 3A PowerPoint. So go back to that and follow those instructions. Also, the instructions are in the text. I want to give you enough to get you started and rolling with these assignments, but not too much. Question 3, create a sequence named customer ID sequence. That can be customer underscore C underscore ID sequence if you wish. That generates the ID for each customer added to customer. Drop and then recreate the customer ID sequence to each subsequent ID generated, increased by a value of 10. So what you're going to do is drop that customer table, create that sequence, increase the value by 10, start with 1, increase by 10. That's going to go 1, 11, 21, and so on. And then and then add that information into the table. Display the current contents of the customer table to determine if the change to the sequence had any impact on the existing values of CID. So you want to create the sequence, drop and recreate the sequence, and then generate the IDs and reinsert the data using that customer underscore ID underscore sequence dot next val in place of that field number 1. And then execute the appropriate commands. Let's see, disable the foreign key constraints in the customer table, remove all customer rows. Okay, so do all these things, create a save point. Those instructions are also in the PowerPoint. And then 5. Don't do 5. I'm going to go ahead and just have you not do 5. This is so we're doing all this inserting data stuff, and then it goes back and talks about granting the user Scott privilege. Don't do it. You can't do. You can do that on your local notebook. You couldn't do that on the server. If you use that, you could. So anyway, question 5, do not do. So you'll have 1 through 4. I'll make sure I note that. And if we're going to be doing this, let's see. So not that one. I don't want that one. Okay, so remember, what you're going to have to do is go back and reload that table, all those tables. Start C:\/ chapter 3 empty Clearwater .SQL. Okay, drops the tables, recreates the tables. Okay, now I'll just go back to some of my notes. What the first question says, it wants you to add each customer as shown. That data is going to look like this. Those scripts are going to look like these. And I'm going to go ahead and add these two. Now, and you're going to go back and get that information from here. So I'm going to grab Graham and Sanchez and add those to my database. Okay, it says add them to the database. Right click, select customer. To verify that this has been completed, you would grab all this information and go right to there, enter, go back to your homework assignment, and then it would be like you would enter question 1. You have your original script, and then command, and then output. Make sure I can see those things, and that would complete part A. Okay, now with part B, just really quickly, what it's going to go tell us is create a sequence named orders underscore ID underscore SEQ. Okay, so we're going to do that, and we're going to take, how best to explain this, we're going to take, once again, this information and load it into a statement that's going to look something like this. Insert into, in this case, orders, values, and then you're going to have your orders underscore O underscore ID sequence. .next val, and then all your orders information within that. Remember, strings are within quotes. The date format you can use and make it look like this, or you can use the default format, and then numbers will simply be without the quotes. Okay, and then remember that create sequence orders OID sequence looks like. The next one would be add each order as shown to the table. Okay, you take that and insert that into Oracle, and then do the very same thing, excluding the sequence for order source. Okay, now I think that's all I want to do and show you at this point, and you can go from there, I think, with those next steps. Okay, and we'll have a lot of time in class to work on this as well. So hopefully that'll help you kind of get started. What else I wanted to point out here in Oracle Light Program in this particular module, that I also have these Clearwater Traders database structure. Those are the PDF file that we just looked at. One for Northwoods as well. We're going to have, when you get into 3A, Chapter 3, Empty Clearwater SQL scripts, and when we get into 3B, Chapter 3, Clearwater SQL scripts. Okay, so we're going to have all of those things available to us as we go along. So again, that will cover how to do the homework assignment, generally speaking, for 3A. So thank you very much.